Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go. Why don't we very briefly tell everybody how we came to get so into this sort of journey of self-development and maybe how we kind of came across each other.
Yeah, sure. So shall I start or do you want to start? I don't mind. Okay.
You start.
So what I will say is that I have always, for as long as I can remember, felt as though there was something more out there than just, what was in my life. So I've always kind of had that sense of wanting more and feeling like there was, more to life. And actually it came with me, it really sort of happened at the very, 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 very beginning of lockdown when I won't bother going into details now, but anyway, I'd left a job and, at the beginning of lockdown, like so many people, I actually had time for pretty much the first time in my entire adult life to actually sit down and go, what do I want? And anyway, I essentially made a decision to myself in lockdown that was like, I am not going to go back to a job that I don't love. I'm not going to go back to just sucking it up like so many people do. I just made this decision that I was just not okay with that any longer. And funnily enough, at the same time, I'd signed on. This is another online course, not the one that we met on. Done so many blooming online courses, but I actually signed up for an online course to learn how to become an Amazon seller. Big mistake. Never again. I did sell some stuff, but I basically just broke even, and I will not recommend anyone to become an Amazon seller because it's hard and yeah, anyway. But as part of that course, every weekday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we would have this Zoom there were literally thousands of people on the Zoom with this guy called John. I can't even remember his surname. And this guy, John, would talk all about personal development. Or he didn't even really call it personal development, but he basically was, it was all about mindset and the power of the mind and how important it is to sort of embark on this journey of, becoming an Amazon seller. It is really important to kind of get control of your mindset. And as part of that, so this guy was like really, really awesome. And I used to look forward to these calls, and it was this real kind of highlight of lockdown, where every weekday at 5 o'clock, I would sit down and just listen to this amazing guy. I'm really sorry, I can't remember his surname, but I can't. John somebody, that helps, doesn't it? But we used to every day he would sort of talk he was very, very inspiring and very, very motivating, and he recommended various books to start reading. So anyway, so that is where this journey for me started, because I then started to really delve into the world of personal development books and podcasts and anything I could get my hands on. And I just started really working on my mindset. And I personally think that, and it was around about the same time that I talk about having had like a spiritual awakening. And I do sort of inverted commas, because I think people get so freaked out when, well, not freaked out, but I think if you tell someone you've had a spiritual awakening, they're like, what the fuck is she on about? All it means is you become more conscious of your thoughts and your mind and the way that things actually work. It's just really a sort of a raising of your own consciousness. And so what I was going to say there was that I think I think mindset and personal growth kind of go hand in hand with spirituality, because anyone that you follow or read who is into that sort of stuff, they're also into spirituality, i.e., the power of the mind and the fact that we are the creators of our reality, and we have so much more agency over our realities than most people think that we do. So that for me was where it started, and I literally, I cannot tell you how much for the last 3 years I have pretty much drowned myself in all things personal development, personal growth, and self-help, that term that people, don't. And actually, speaking of that term, I think part of the problem with this whole area, this whole topic, is that when people hear the term self-help, they just think, oh my God, it just turns people off. But actually, what self-help is about is making your life better. Yeah. So it's like, why would you not want to make your life better? Because that is what all of these self-help books are about. They're about making your life better, and how to achieve success, and just basically how to grow and develop and make things better. So who doesn't want a piece of that?
Yeah, it's so good. It's about, for me, it's about waking up. For me, it was just like waking up to what is possible, and the fact that you don't have to just trudge through life just because that's how it is.
Exactly.
So for me, it kind of started, I was married, 3 kids, had a job as a school teacher. I was kind of trudging through life, but I kind of had everything. Everything was going okay. I definitely wasn't living consciously at all. And then I hit my early 40s, and my hormones started to go a bit AWOL, and I kind of went a bit loopy. I went a bit mad, if I'm totally honest. I thought I was losing my mind. I just was so emotional. My mood, having never suffered from low mood or anxiety, my mood just dropped. I was having horrendously dark thoughts, and I couldn't work out I just didn't know what it was. I had no idea what was going on. And anyway, long story short, after about 4 years, I finally discovered that what I was experiencing was kind of a hormonal shift. I was going through perimenopause, and it was really affecting my mood and, well, so many things physically and mentally for me. And when I discovered this, it was just the biggest wake-up call I think I have ever had, because I'm so fucking pissed off that I didn't know what was going on. First of all, I was like, right, well, this is ridiculous. I have to learn and know and understand what is happening to my body, because this is just horrible and crazy, and I need to drag myself out of this. But secondly, I was just so pissed off as well that, if I didn't know any of this, what was going on, that so many other people wouldn't know. So I kind of it just was a natural instinct for me just to learn. So for me, it started with health, really, rather than else. It was just learning about my health and how to kind of feel better, just get myself out of this dark hole. And actually I found that with sort of diet, I always exercised, but I was kind of doing the wrong sort of exercise. But I found through diet and exercise, I could really, really help myself. But then through all of that, I then started kind of working out the mindset thing, and I started going on so many courses, and I ended up doing this health coaching course in lockdown. So I was, I just sort of was led there. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't even know if I wanted to be a health coach, but I just did this course with the Health Coach Institute, which was an online course. It's kind of 2 amazing women from the States who run it, who set it, who founded it. But part of that course is that although you're learning to coach, you are being constantly coached, because people are practicing on you. And so I was being coached at least once a week, often twice a week, by other trainee coaches. And all of this stuff just started to come up, and that really started me on this journey. And then through that, I then really discovered the power of the mindset. And it was really probably that, and then doing Kathy course, Abundance Ever After, where, oh my God, I realized the power of my thoughts. And
Yeah.
it was a bit of an awakening. It was
Yeah.
a real wake up call to what is available. And yeah, it's like you, I just delved into
Yeah.
so many podcasts, so many books, which has led me here. And now I'm such a blooming junkie for it. I can't, I've tried so many different things because I've now kind of taken this on and do this for my living. But I've trained in so many different modalities because I've realised, it's all to do with just feeling as good as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And there are so many different things out there, so many different ways that we can do it. Whether it's through breath work, whether it's through hypnotherapy, whether it's through meditation, how we, it's everything. So it's brilliant. And now I just want to share what I know with others to help again raise the general consciousness of everybody, so everyone can feel as good as they possibly can.
Yeah. Oh no, I love that. And I love that story. And it's so true because, and actually just so people know, that's where you and I met on Cathy Heller's course, which, I mean, and, for anyone who doesn't know her, she is incredible. And, she's very, very, very spiritual, and it's all about the power of the mind and also the fact, and this is what I am, and I know you are too, obsessed with energy and the vibration that the frequency that we are vibrating on, because we are all energy, and 99.9% energy. That is just a scientific fact. And the sort of aim of the game, and from a very sort of top level perspective, is to try and raise our vibe as much as we can. And so one of the things that I'm sure we'll talk about on our Monday motivation is how we can do that, because ultimately the better we feel, the more of the good stuff we're going to attract into our lives. And actually, can I just say that I've just started a book, literally this morning, started listening to it this morning on Audible, called Why Woo Woo Works. And I'd heard, speaking of Cathy, I've just had a notification of her new podcast. Anyway, sorry, just flicking that off my phone. But no, this book, I heard somebody talking about it on another podcast, and I was like, well, I've got to get that, as if I don't have enough fucking personal growth books. But anyway, so this guy, I can't remember his name, Scottish guy, he also narrates the audiobook, and he basically goes through why all of these so-called woo-woo practices actually work scientifically. I've only listened to the first couple of chapters this morning, but he talks about the science behind them and all of these amazing studies that have been done. He's actually talked quite a lot about the placebo effect, and how, if you basically, what I've sort of gleaned so far from the first couple of chapters is that whatever we believe, and this is why it's so much about belief, you've got to have the belief, you've got to have the faith, but we are sort of wired to whatever we believe and expect is kind of what will happen for us. And that also goes for in a medical sense. So and that's why the placebo effect is so incredibly interesting. And he's done all of these studies, which now I can't think of one, obviously, because I'm on an Instagram live and my brain's gone blank. But any of you cynics out there, and there are so many cynics out there, but I think this is a really, really good book to have a read of. So it's called How Woo Woo, or either How Woo Woo or Why Woo Woo Works. But you should definitely read it. I'm loving it.
Have
you got it?
Great. No, I haven't. But I was just thinking about. No, I haven't. But you just made me think. The first book which I properly read in this, which was actually it was before Cathy's course, was Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Because he, again, lots of you might know Joe Dispenza. If you don't, you should really look him up, because he does a really good job, I think, again, of combining the science with the woo.
Totally.
And really helps, explain kind of quantum physics and how it all works. And what I love about him is that he is trying to show us with evidence that the woo works, and it does. And there's so many. He is a brilliant person to go listen to a podcast, him talk about it, because he explains it in such a way which is just like, whoa, So he is honestly just changed my mind about all of it, because actually it's very evidence-based,
Yeah.
a lot of what he is saying. So yeah, which I'm presuming your book is kind of, there's quite a lot of similarities to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, this so far, this guy, as I say, I'm listening to this rather than actually reading it, but he is quoting a lot of studies. But I have read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and one thing that I'll say is that it is not an easy read. It is definitely quite heavy going. But Joe Dispenza, yeah, you're absolutely right. He's amazing, and for anyone who wants to delve into this stuff a bit more, I would highly recommend just going onto Spotify and just typing in Joe Dispenza, and a million podcasts will come up. And because, but like you say, he's amazing at kind of bringing together the science and the woo. Because there are so many people who like will roll their eyes when you start talking about any of this stuff. But actually, I've got to the point where if people sort of look at me like I've gone bonkers, I just sort of smile to myself and think, that's fine. I don't mind if you think I'm a mental case. I'm just happily getting on with all this amazing stuff that is doing so much good for my life and how I feel. So if you want to take the piss, that's fine.
You know, that's the proof in the pudding, because since I've been doing this, since I've had this awareness, I have been so much happier. I am so much calmer in life. I'm such a better parent with my kids.
Yeah.
I have so much more patience. I'm able to take a step back, and you know, sometimes people might look at it going, oh my God, you're so annoyingly, nauseatingly kind of calm and serene. And, you know, okay, I still get pissed off about things and stuff, but you're able to detach, take that sort of sting out of a really charged situation and detach yourself from it.
Yeah.
And sort of see it for what it really is, and it doesn't really matter. And yeah, it has helped me beyond anything.
Yeah,
I think. You know, my husband will be the first to tell you, from those days, from those early 40 days when I really was losing my mind and I was all over the shop, and I was literally screaming like a banshee one minute or was sobbing in the corner the next. It really was all over the shop.
Is that not normal?
Yeah. But yeah, and now actually I can't remember the last time I properly lost my temper or, you know, raised my voice, or, you know, I mean, I have got 3 teenagers. Sometimes they kind of make me go like that. But I'm able to, because of this work, I am able to remain pretty calm.
Yeah.
And I think the kids have definitely noticed, you know, a shift in me, and, you know, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. Speaking of families, can I just say that my mum has just joined this conversation, and hi mum, I'm in complete shock that my mum has actually worked out how to join an Instagram live. She is she hates technology. Hi mum, how did you do that? Oh my gosh, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
she'll be on the phone to me after this going, oh my God, darling.
Well, it's 9:35. Perhaps
I know.
Call it a day. Although I could always talk to you for hours, Lucy. I was going to say things, because what I was going to say, back when we were talking about, what was it? It popped into my mind. It was about doing all of this stuff online, and how lots of people would go, but you can't really form relationships online, or you can't, you know, yet I think it's so blimmin' powerful to use the online world in this way, and to form communities, and you can form friendships and you can form bonds, because my goodness, you know, you and I have become friends in the last year, and we've never actually met in real life.
I know.
Bizarre.
I know.
But I feel like I have met so many people online through my podcast. You know, lots of people I haven't met in person. It is possible to cultivate these relationships. I don't know why I started thinking about that. Anyway,
I completely agree, though, and I completely agree. And actually, I have to admit that I was always one of those really cynical people, because I wasn't big on social media at all, and I was never on Instagram until I started a podcast, and I was always that annoying girl going, oh, I hate social media, and, you know, here I am. But completely agree, because in the same way that you have with your podcast, I've met so many people. Well, like, you know, obviously we didn't meet through each other's podcast, but we met on an online course, and it's so true. And actually, the great thing about it is that when you meet people online through courses and, you know, through your podcast and all the rest of it, you end up meeting people and forming friendships with people who are into the same thing. things, which is amazing, you know, because
Exactly. Well, what was so nuts though, that was what I was thinking about. What's so nuts is that you and I met, although we're both in the UK, I went to school with your sister. We
yeah,
met on a course which was run out of the US, and we were put in a little pod together. And that kind of to me was like, oh, maybe that was meant to happen. Maybe we were meant to meet, you know.
I know,
Don't know, you know.
totally.
So you, yeah.
Totally. No, I love it. Oh my gosh. Well. So basically, for anyone who is watching, we do these every Monday now, every Monday morning at 9, and we're going to be talking all things personal growth and development and self-help,
Yeah.
man. And I mean, you know, maybe we'll like pick a topic each week. Who knows? We
Yes,
don't even
maybe
know.
yeah, yeah, maybe we need to do that. Focus on a topic each week,
Yeah.
and maybe yeah, let's try and do that for next. And if anyone has a suggested topic, let us
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Let us know. Oh, it's so nice to
Okay.
speak to you, and see you this time next week.
Yeah, take
You
care, Lucy.
Lots of
Lovely
love.
to chat to you. Take
Bye,
care.
love.
Bye, bye,
Bye. See you later.
bye.
Bye.